Hello, welcome to another episode of Damage for Podcast. It is me, Jesse Bartell. I am here again with Mitch, Mitch, the the Savage Reeves.
Sorry, I know. If I was a wrestler, like,
What would your WWE intro be?
oh, I have no idea. I'd probably be a jobber. Like, I'd be like that Barry Horowitz guy who used to like his whole shtick was like he was a jobber who was going to lose every week, but he had like that whole thing where he used to pat himself on the back, like like that's me except without the backpack. So
Oh man, do you wait? Do you watch professional wrestling?
as a kid, I loved it,
Uh huh.
and then at some point in my life, I stopped watching it because I felt like I got too old for it.
Right.
And then I moved to Atlanta, and my roommate never got that way. So I started watching it again during the Attitude Era,
Uh huh.
and then once I moved out, I fell off again. And I'll watch like I watch the Royal Rumble every year,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know who anybody is now. And then I always watch WrestleMania just because
Mm-hmm.
it's WrestleMania, and I feel like it's one of those things. Even if you don't watch football, you watch the Super Bowl kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah.
So I watched that, and it's kind of fun to live tweet it when you have no idea what's going on. And so like my last one this year was like oh shit, Randy Orton beat the shit out of a person dressed up like a energy drink, and then a YouTuber pinned a wrestler. And I was like, see you next year, guys.
Yeah, that sounds like 2024 or 2023 or whatever. It sounds about where that industry's at probably. I
Yeah,
don't I don't really I mean, I don't have any feelings on one way or the other. I liked that. Well, I don't know what's the era growing up that was like Hulk Hogan
I don't
and
know what you call that, but that's what I grew up on. Like I love
okay.
Hogan, Warrior, Macho Man,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
stuff. That was my shit when I was a kid. But like I don't know, at one point, however, whatever year it was, I was just like, nah, I kind of lost interest in it. And then, like I said, the
And
attitude
then
era brought me back in.
is the Attitude Era like Sting and
It's like the NWO and WCW, and then like the Generation X and The Rock and Stone Cold, and
Oh, okay, 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 okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's the last time I was really into wrestling. I'm not
yeah.
anymore, but
Yeah,
it
they
is
have
interesting. It's interesting. Sorry to cut you off, but
no, no.
it it is something that certainly has been interesting to me. As how you and I met, right? Running in like the horror blogger podcaster kind of thing from a
Yeah,
few years
boy.
ago. Just the cross pollination between horror fans and wrestling fans, like it's crazy because I was not a wrestling person, and so many people were like so about wrestling that I was like, y'all still watch that? Wow, like nothing against it. Like it's cool, man, if that's what you're into. But it was just surprising to me that like because typically, and I know it's sports entertainment, not sports, but typically sports and horror nerds don't coincide. So
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Yeah, I've got nothing against people who like that stuff. I mean, I watch anime, so what can I say?
yeah,
But I mean, like, I feel like I don't really know. Like, I feel like I just personally feel like that recent days, I don't really feel like that culture or the characters are as memorable or written or part of like pop culture as much as they were at one
that's
point.
exactly it. That's exactly why I can't watch it anymore because I miss the pageantry. I
Hmm.
miss the characters. I miss
Yeah.
the suits and the face paint now it's just dudes in their underwear, like buff dudes, and that's fine, but it's just like everybody kind of has long wet hair and a beard, and I'm just like, I miss fucking Van Vader coming out with that fucking mask on and shit, and smoke flying everywhere and stuff. The Undertaker, the lights turn off and the music kicks in, like, and all that. I missed like the pageantry. That was what I liked about it. They were
Right.
almost like that was like for me, especially as a kid, that was as close as now it's everywhere, but that was as close as I got to seeing superheroes on TV.
Sure.
And
Now,
now that superhero culture is a thing, then it's not as important, I guess. Or
yeah.
maybe I'm just reading too much into that, but that's how I felt about it.
No, I feel it. It was like, you had Macho Man Randy Savage doing commercials. That was great. You know,
Yeah.
that was a good time. And now we just got Vince McMahon. He's just in. Is he in prison? What's doing? What's going on with that
Honestly,
guy?
I don't know. I think I heard he's like retired now or something, but I don't know if he's in prison. But I think he should be, but I don't know.
It's like
Man, everybody's so
him and P
shitty, it's
Diddy.
hard to keep up, right? Yeah, right. I'm saying, like, every other day, if somebody should be in jail who's not, I'm like, well, fucking, who is it today? Like, I don't
Yeah,
know.
who's trafficking people now? I don't. Okay, what's
Right.
going? It's
I
just
know.
crazy.
I don't,
Anyway,
I like, I'm afraid to open Twitter because I'm afraid somebody that I really like or like admire,
what do you
is
mean,
like,
Mr. Rogers at a cult? I can't deal with this. Kidding. Fred Rogers did no wrong.
exactly.
Um. Uh. Anyway, we are here today to talk about. It was so funny before we went live. We're like, we're not gonna go on any tangents. I promise.
Yeah.
Um.
Well, I mean,
I mean, that was my fault. Um. We're going to talk about a video game from 2010 called Enslaved: Odyssey to the West, developed by Ninja Theory and published by Namco Bandai. And I'm very, very excited to talk about that because I think it's a gem of a little game, and just like all the other Ninja Theory games, it didn't make any money, and no one reviewed really well, and no one played it. So,
right.
um, so we'll get into that in a bit, but first I want to talk to Mitch about what he's been playing video games wise. I know he's been playing a lot of that Destiny seasonal update. That's been that went that happened. And I don't know what else you've been playing, but hit me, boy.
Yeah. So first, before I get into that, I just want to say how much I enjoyed your episode with the interview with the Bungie dev.
Danny Nanny.
That was so fucking cool, man. And I'm so jealous you got to do that. But that was a big brain move on your part, like not asking me to join for that one because it would have been like a 9 hour episode. But
Yeah, well, he was like, and I love Danny, but I couldn't like press him too much on specifics about Destiny. So I was sort of
right.
in a spot where I was like, I kind of want to ask him all these things about Destiny, but he's sort of like can't always speak to all the things for various
Yeah.
reasons. A, he doesn't work on that part of the game and can't say something about somebody else's work, or B, we can't talk about that yet because things are changing.
Yeah, man. Oh my god, dude. Bungie is essentially just blowing Destiny up
Hmm.
for the final shape, and I'm so fucking excited for it.
Well,
Um,
sorry, and I don't think I asked Danny this, but I mean, final shape. I mean, is that it? Is that it? Is that all it's gonna do? Is that it? And then it's just they're gonna work
so
on marathon.
so what they've said is that the final shape is absolutely not the end of Destiny. But he didn't. So Luke came back for the final shape reveal a couple, like, I don't know, about a month ago or so, and nobody expected to see him, and he was like, "It is absolutely not the end of Destiny." But he didn't specify Destiny 2. So so basically, at this point, what we know is the final shape is the end of the light versus darkness saga.
Hmm.
So everything we've been doing for 10 years ends with the with inside the traveler against the witness, all this stuff. That's going to end. We don't know. We know that they're like they've replaced seasons with what they're calling episodes
Hmm.
for this year coming forward for the final shape. So they've released a few like little story beats and things that are going to be going on. So we know it's not the end of Destiny 2 for sure, but we don't know how much more Destiny 2 we're going to get after this year.
Mm.
And I know that I guess they play tested Marathon for a bunch of Escape from Tarkov people, and they weren't particularly excited about Marathon because it's an extraction shooter.
Yeah.
Um, and so I guess it maybe they got some not great feedback, and Marathon's been delayed again. Um, but then like data miners have unearthed something, and I'm just this is all rumors and shit. So for God's sakes, I don't know what I'm talking about. But
Get Danny on here, Danny.
I know this is just I my online involvement with it, like as of late, is just I look at Destiny shit and almost nothing else. So, but yeah, they've uncovered that Bungie's been working on some project with a code name that I can't remember right offhand for the last 2 years, and people are speculating that it might be a Destiny 3, but we don't know.
Huh.
So
You know what's
that's
gonna
kind of
happen
where
is
we're.
at the end of the final shape, you're gonna once you get to the center of wherever you're supposed to be,
Yeah.
you're gonna like unlock something and it's just gonna be Master Chief, and they're just gonna be like, "We got him back, baby."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's that codename project is actually a Bungie beat 'em up in the style of like Smash Brothers. So it's gonna be Oni and Marathon and Halo and Destiny characters.
Honestly, they should do an Oni remaster for real. But I think
Yeah,
Rockstar owns it, unfortunately.
yeah.
Um, cool. Well, that's exciting. Well, I think I mean, I guess my presumption, I guess, is that they'll be done with the story stuff with the final shape, but like say something like Diablo 3 that is still having, seasonal updates where they just,
Mm,
you do a new season, maybe you create a new character, get specific loot, whatever.
right.
That might be what it is for a while.
Well,
And they
the
just
same thing with like Destiny 1. Destiny 1's still there. You can play it.
nice.
There's not story beats, but there's still got your weekly things to do to get your drops and all that type of stuff. And I think Destiny 2 as a game will be around, for a while yet.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like, are they going to continue to support it, the way they have been now versus just kind of letting it be what it is while they, you know, kind of focus on marathon, and I do hope that it does well for them. I don't foresee it being something that I play a lot of, just
Mm-hmm.
because it's PvP focused, which is not what I do. I'm a PvE guy. I'm old, and the reflexes aren't what they used to be. So I don't know how much PvE. I'll buy it because I'm that guy, but I don't know how much I'm going to play it just because I don't know how much PvE stuff there'll be. Um, but I'm gonna play Destiny until they turn the servers off. Like, that's my shit. So,
Hell yeah.
and to answer your question, 10 minutes later, Into the Light it is amazing. I'm having such a good time. It has brought so many players back to Destiny who've been taking a break. I've been playing with some friends that I haven't talked to in a while. The Brave Arsenal is amazing. I'm loving the fact that PVE players who maybe don't have raid groups are getting access to some of the best weapons from Destiny's history. That some of which were raid weapons. And so, like for instance, Midnight Coup is a hand cannon. I never had it because I never got to do the first raid in Destiny 2. And now that's gone, right? That's not there anymore. So I never could have gotten that gun. And now I'm like farming for like rolls on it and shit. And that's incredible. And I really like Onslaught, the horde mode thing they added. I think it's great. Um, and yeah, man, it's exciting to see so many people re-excited for Destiny.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of people coming back to it, and I don't know if that speaks to kind of Sony's involvement in that the story where the Sony head visited Bungie and he was like, I saw nothing but excitement and hard work and creativity and things on the ground floor, and maybe management could kind of do some things a little different. So I don't know if all these changes, that they're doing the final shape. I don't know if that comes from, and the fact that they're just blowing the game up. I don't know if that comes from Bungie kind of being like, well, it's we're getting towards the end of this whole thing. Let's just let people have fun, or if
Mm-hmm.
that's Sony stepping in and being like, yo, we're not seeing the return on our investment here, guys. We got to do something. But
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whichever one of those it is, man, the players are the ones who are going to benefit from it, and I'm more hyped for the final shape than I was even before, and I was really fucking excited before. So
You know, I wonder if, just the way that they're developed, because it does seem like the the chatter about it is positive online, and people
For the
are.
first time in a while.
Yes, and it's one of those things that's like, Destiny was like Twitter for a long time where people just kind of complained about it, and uh but still played it quite a bit, and um but it seems like the way that it has gone, and I think maybe because they have a finish line now, right? So maybe that
Mm,
they can really focus on an end goal rather than these like really long drawn out like
right. Well, it's the
um
thing like with seasons, and
mhm
they've talked about that. It's like, by the time you get a season, we're already working on 2 seasons ahead,
mhm
and
mhm
the seasonal model is what, 3 months, I
mhm
think it was. So that's not a lot of time to, you know, for devs to make new game modes, add new weapons, add new assets, and add new armor sets, all these things. That's not a lot of time, right?
mhm
And so for the episodes, they're going to be like bigger than seasons. I don't know exactly if they're 4 months or however many months, whatever it is. But I think that's the thing, right? It's a good problem to have at the end of the day, right? When you're making something that you have a community that's so passionate about that they constantly want more.
mhm
Like, I think that's a good thing until like you have to be like, yo, it takes time, guys. Like, you know, please just keep playing, what's there and give us time to deliver you like this new stuff.
mhm
And that's like the line they've been trying to like walk for so long now.
yeah, and I'm pretty excited for the final shape to see what it does for everyone, and if it's like a proper send off to the community for like the story, because like I mean Destiny's been around for a long time now, and it
Yeah.
always has felt like this kind of nebulous thing of like this story or this like progression of like when's it kind of gonna end, we don't really know. And
Hmm.
it's sort of coming to that point now, and it's gonna be a big thing. It's gonna be interesting to see what
Yep.
happens in June.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be exciting. um Anything else, Mitch, playing?
So outside of that, obviously I played Enslaved for the first time. That was fun. I'm doing the thing where, like, if you're on Game Pass, they have this rewards thing where they give you points. I may have talked about it on the show before, but um, so a lot of they give you like daily things, weekly things, monthly things to do,
Mm-hmm.
and most of that is around like playing Game Pass games.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I started Diablo 4,
There you go.
and I'm enjoying that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing as a necromancer, which I did not get to do in 3. Uh,
Ah.
3 was like I said, I played the first one on PS1, so I feel like I didn't really play Diablo 1, and then I played 3. I played 3 on the PS4, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But then they added like the Ultimate Evil Edition later that added the Necromancer, and I didn't do that.
Yeah,
I was
the
late
the
at that
the
point.
the Reaper of Souls and the Rise of the
Yes,
Necromancer DLC, that was, yeah.
yeah, I didn't do those.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew immediately I was going to do Necromancer on 4, and I'm enjoying it. It's just Diablo, but it's pretty cool. Like the little like differences. I mean, you know what I mean. Like, yeah,
Yeah, no. No, it's really funny because I've been playing a lot of Diablo myself recently, and uh yeah, man, it's run around, punch skeletons, and get gold.
right. Like, I'm only like a couple of hours in, but man, it's as polished of a Diablo as I've ever played. But it's still Diablo. Like,
Yeah, it's you know, it is absolutely Diablo, but I do like the grim dark feeling they went for with 4.
yeah.
And some of the changes they made I really dug, others I did not. I really missed the roll that you could do indefinitely or
Mm,
infinitely in 3 with the joystick, and now it's just
you're
like
right.
you get one or two jumps with B to jump out of the way depending on your build. Um but and the cinematics and the story is really good in 4, which I think
Yeah, I am
is
enjoying the
great.
story.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they made it very, very good. And then there's just other things I wasn't super crazy about, but it looks like they're also having a big fix, or not a big fix, but they're doing a big update in May, a new seasonal update along with a bunch of like just different things they're adding to the game. So I'm
Yeah.
really excited for that, and I might do a necromancer build when they drop that season because I
Yeah.
haven't done a necromancer in 4 yet, and it's an interesting class because it's not super straightforward.
Yes.
And like it's not like a barbarian, build or something like that where you just kind of run in there and beat the shit out of everything. It's really like,
Yeah, which is what everyone I've ever played, that's typically what I do because that's like they tend to be like they take the most damage and things like that.
mm-hmm.
And and I'm not the brightest bulb in the box, so if you're telling me like I could like strategize and like use magic and this and that, or I can just be this thing that's a tank that beats the shit out of things, I'm gonna pick tank because that's just easier.
Damn right. And I've been also playing a lot of Diablo myself, just to piggyback off of this, but I've also been playing a lot of Diablo 2 Resurrected. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah, because I bought it when it first came out. I probably told this story 8,000 million times. I bought it when it first came out, pre-ordered it, got the special edition, all that, and for like the first week there were server issues, and I just got so frustrated I didn't really go back to it.
Ah.
Um, and then I just was like, you know what? I bought this. I put $100 into Diablo 2 Resurrected. I was
Oh my
like,
god.
because I got like the special edition. And it came with a copy of D3 as well, which was great because I had D3 on my PS4. That was where I mainly played it. So
Yeah,
I
that's
got
what
a I got a Xbox version, and that was cool. Um, so I started playing D2, and I'm doing pretty good. I'm a level 20 barbarian right now, enjoying it. It reminds me of being a kid, but I like what they did with all of the like the sprite work and just how they
yeah.
updated.
I'm good. I was gonna buy that once I caught it on sale. I just kind
Mhm.
of I haven't really seen it on sale.
Yeah, it's really worth it. It's definitely like a old man's Diablo though, like you go
Hmm.
from like 4 to 2 and you're like, "Whoa." Right. I got to manage inventory again like a lot, and like there's just
Right.
the quality of life stuff that they did with 3 and 4 is just completely gone, and but it's a very simplified version of punch skeletons till they explode, and it's good. I like that. So I recommend getting into I recommend Diablo 2. 2000s Diablo 2. I
In
recommend it.
2024, yeah.
It's good. It's a good game.
Man, I don't know if it speaks to the state of modern gaming or if it just speaks to like the generation that grew up kind of cutting their teeth on PC games, but I've seen a lot of people playing old PC games on Twitch lately, like Fallout 1, Fallout, like the original Fallouts and stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
buddy. That
obviously the world has Fallout fever right now, and I'm not immune to it. I talked about it on Werewolves this week, but I got into some shit trying to play some Diablo this weekend. So
what do you mean you got
not
into some shit?
Diablo, Fallout. Sorry.
Oh, how'd you get into? What do you mean you got into some shit? What happened?
Well, so I wanted to play Fallout 4 because I didn't finish it.
Yeah.
So I popped it in my PlayStation 5 because I know that that it could play that game. And it only gave me the option to start a new game. And I was like, well, I played probably 40 hours of that fucking game. I don't want to start over, right?
Uh huh.
So I guess to get to my cloud save on the PS5, I have to be a part of one of the higher tiered PS Plus memberships. I just have the one. I have the one that I've had for fucking 30 years. Like I don't, or 20 years. I don't have like premium or whatever the fuck they call it.
Uh huh.
So I couldn't get my save. So I was like, well, I'll just play it on the PS4. So I got the PS4 out, hooked it up. PS4 had to update for fucking ever. Did that. Then Fallout had to update forever. Did that. And I put in the disc to do the Fallout update. And I had forgotten that one of the issues I have with my PS4 is that it has the disc eject error.
Oh no.
So like I'd be playing Monster Hunter with Binky, and then I'd hear a beat, and my fucking the disc would just eject, and I'm like the PS4 was like, well, you're done. Like, but I wasn't. We had a Diablos on the ropes there, fella. It's just he just fucked me out of like 2 hours of work.
Did
And so like,
do you have like a launch PS4 or is
yep,
it Oh yeah,
day
those
one.
yeah, the jet engine.
Yeah. So so I looked up I had fixed it a couple of times. There was like this one the manual eject screw, you could like fuck with that and all these things. So I looked up a video. I decided this past Saturday morning, I was like, I'm gonna fix this, right? I'm gonna play some fucking Fallout. And so I watched the video, and the guy was like, "Well, you could do this. You could clean the PS4 really well. Take your little can of air duster." So I was like, "Well, that ain't the fucking problem." And then he did the whole screw thing. I was like, "Yep, did that. Nope, we're past that." So he's like, "So the next thing you could do is take it apart." And I'm like, "Ooh, that typically doesn't go well for me
It's
when I
above my
take
pay grade. I can't do that.
right." But I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll do it. Whatever. So I took it apart, and he's like, there's this like little metal piece that actually makes contact with the sensor that tells the PS4 you're trying to eject, right?
Yes.
Like sometimes you can just bend that back a little bit, and it'll fix the problem. So I was like, all right, Ben, I can bend a little piece of metal. So I did that, put it back together, put the game in, started the update. I don't know, 2 3 hours later, I heard the beep, and I was like, God damn it. So I went back to the video and I looked at his last step. And his last step, he literally said, "If you've tried everything else and you're just sick of this bullshit," and I was like, "You are speaking my language, sir." Like he is talking directly to me at this point. And he goes, he said, "You could just remove the fucking eject button altogether." And I was like, "You know what? Sounds good." So I ripped the goddamn eject button out of my PS4 and I put it back together, and I haven't had a problem since.
Incredible.
Yeah,
And good and I'm surprised your PS4 launch PS4 has survived. It that was that thing's a beast, man.
it is, man. It has thousands of hours of Destiny on it. Like Destiny 2,
Jeez.
like that thing, Monster Hunter. I don't know how many hundreds of hours I put in Monster Hunter World. Yeah, it's been through a lot.
And just to play Fallout 4, which
Yep.
I'll be honest with you, is my least favorite of the Fallouts. It's not a bad game, but I just kind of I tried playing it like starting it 3 different times and got bored about 40 hours in every time.
Yeah. Well, I that's what everybody says. Everybody who's played that game has told me the same thing, and I did it. I just never went back to it.
Hmm.
Um, and it's okay. You know, it's the whole the settlement building shit I
Yeah.
don't care about,
Yep.
and unfortunately, that's a big part of it.
Yep.
Uh, I did also make the mistake of while I was taking apart my PS4, I put in Fallout 76 into my Xbox, and I installed that. And yeah, I played that for about 15 minutes, and I uninstalled it. So
Man, I've got nothing against those like Bethesda MMO games, but they just don't feel right to me. Like I
no,
tried playing Elder Scrolls Online as well, and there's just
oh yeah,
something
I bought
about
that
the
too.
MMO format that like I just end up wishing I was playing either Skyrim or Oblivion, or if I was playing Fallout 76, I was like, I wish I was just playing like New Vegas or something.
Yep.
And that's just usually what happens.
Yeah, it starts with I don't know, I forget what they called it, but it's the day that Vault 76 opens its doors and sends all the
Reclamation Day.
that's it, yeah. And that's literally the game. It's like they open the doors, they're like, all right, go. And I'm like, go where? Do what? And the game doesn't tell you. It's just like just
You're in
go.
Appalachia, man. Go get some meth. There you go.
Yeah. And I was like, all right. And then there were like other people in my game who were jumping around, and I was like, are they gonna kill me? Like I don't know what they're doing. And then there was like one NPC that I talked to for a second, and I was like, I'm really not having fun with this. So
And there's like eight
uninstalled it.
people there's like eight people near the same NPC getting the same dialogue. And you're
Yes.
just like,
Yeah.
this is just weird. I
Yeah.
don't like this.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, man, not for me. Not for me. Nuh-uh.
Now,
No way. Well, I'm glad you got on the Fallout train. Fallout is a great series, no matter which one you play. Even if it is 76 and you like MMOs, I hear that it is better now than it has ever been, which is good.
Yeah.
And listen, if you're gonna get into Fallout 4, cool. I mean, if that's your starting point, I'm not saying you, Mitch, but like other people, I heard that like I
Yeah.
saw a lot of people like Fallout 4 was their like gateway drug to Fallout, which is awesome because then you go and you play a good one like 3 or New Vegas. And
Right.
that's
Exactly. You're like, holy shit.
because that's where it's at, baby.
Yes, sir.
Um yeah, I started playing New Vegas like last year again. Got some good hours in there. I love me that game. It's a good game.
Yep.
Um any other wild video game stories you play?
No, 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 that's pretty much it. That's just a lot of Into the Light once it drops.
Well, that's good. I'm glad it's working out for you again. Um or not again, but I mean it's
Yeah.
providing an experience that you really love from Destiny. And that's what I like. That's what I like to hear for you, Mitch. That's what I want for you, man.
I need it. That's that Destiny is my escape from lots of things. So
There you go. Um so yeah, so I've been playing a lot of Diablo myself. But there's not much to say about that other than Diablo is good. It is what it is. You either like that type of game or you do not. If you play 10 minutes of Diablo and you hate it, boy, I gotta tell you, it's just more of that for another 70
yeah,
hours.
yes. But don't if you hate Diablo like after an hour, you Diablo is just not your thing.
Yeah. It doesn't change. It doesn't change.
Nope.
And some of us really like that, but other
Yeah.
people, I don't feel like it's for them. So what I have been playing a lot of is this game called Unicorn Overlord. Have you heard of this one?
Mm.
Have you seen this? Have you heard about this?
I have seen things online.
Yeah, so it is a Atlas published game, and Atlas is known for publishing Japanese RPGs such as Persona no, and Shin Megami Tensei's whatever, Demon
Yeah.
Summoner. Yeah, they do a lot of the JRPG stuff, and they're very good at selecting good titles to publish. Unicorn Overlord was developed by Vanillaware, who is they are a mid-tier JRPG developer. They did a lot of stuff on PS2. Um, but it is, I don't know if you've ever played Final Fantasy Tactics, Mitch, back in the day. But it's
No, I oh I you know what? Actually, I did buy that on PS1, but I don't think I played a lot of it because I that might have been my first ever tactics game.
oh,
Uh,
okay.
I didn't
Yeah.
know what I was getting into, so
Yeah, Tactics was brutal because you could get hard locked halfway through the story and like be unable to
right.
progress if you didn't like level up your
I
team.
did not to again completely take over the
No,
conversation,
go
but
for it, Biddy. Go for it.
but after that, I did get into a tactics game. I bought Front Mission 3,
Oh,
uh,
yeah, there you go.
and I love the shit out of that game. That was because that's my jam. Like, give me more big robots and less like knights and medieval bullshit, and like I'll figure out how to play your game.
Yeah, yo, give me more robots.
Exactly.
Yeah, you might like what is it? That Armored Core game?
I love Armored Core.
Yeah, did you play
Oh,
that
we
new
could
one?
do. Well,
I own
I
it, but
did.
I have not played it. Is that
Oh,
what you're
I
gonna say?
played it. No, I played it. I'm just not real good at it.
Oh yeah, it's from software, baby.
Yes, sir. Man, it sure is.
Yeah, they are you know, I started playing Demon Souls or sorry, Dark Souls. Wait, which one? Dark Souls. I started playing
Well,
Dark
same
Souls
thing,
3.
right?
What's that?
Same thing, though, right? Isn't Demon Souls like the
Yeah,
original?
Demon Souls was the first one and they did it only for PlayStation 3 and then they did the Dark Souls games.
For everything, yeah.
Yeah, I like Dark Souls 3. I just need to play more of it.
Okay.
But it's hard for sure, but it's after Life of P, I was like, I got this whole Souls like nonsense down.
Man, I'm nothing but impressed with you if you can play these games because I can't. I
Yeah,
want to so bad.
bro, there was like nothing more liberating than beating Liza P. Um, because it was just I could that was one of those things I was like I'm gonna play this as long until I just decide that it's just I cannot do this anymore, and I just ended up playing through the whole.
That's awesome because I think I may have told you, but yeah, I saw a trailer for that and I've loved the art style so much that I immediately downloaded it.
Uh-huh.
And then I read a review and it was like, this Souls like, and I was like, uninstall. Like, just,
Yeah, man, it'll kick your ass, but
yeah.
yeah, it was good. Anyways, what were we talking about? Armored Core.
Unicorn Overlord.
Yes, but Armored Core, you have it, you own it.
No, yeah, yeah. I bought it day one. I love that
Nice.
series. I played every single one of them up until I don't know what happened to me, but I did not buy the ones on the 360, and now I'm like I'm trying to find them, but they're not cheap.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
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 But yeah, man, I remember I worked at a textile mill out of high school, and I worked on the 4 in the afternoon to a midnight shift.
There you go.
And I played Armored Core on like the first one on PS1. I would play that game from the time I woke up till the time to go to work, and then I'd go to work and tell people who didn't even play video games about the shit I did today. Like I was, because I just something, man. And I did the same thing with Chrome Hounds. If you give me,
Well, Chrome Hounds is hard too, man.
oh, I played the shit out of Chrome Hounds, bro. We had like a crew. I did different builds, and I named all of mine after Transformers. So like my big like tank build was called Devastator, and then I had because that whole game was like, you go up against other squads or whatever, and
Uh-huh.
you had to find their base first and take down. Oh, that was like one of the game modes to do.
Yeah.
We used to always do that. My friend Kojibat, he always ran. I forget what the class was called, but the one that had the radar that would tell us. He would be able to see the map and see where the enemy mechs were, and he
Mm-hmm.
would tell us like, "Yo, somebody's in A6, this and that." And so there's this one like very smaller class, and it was the with the it had like this the base was wheels, so it was faster, and so I called that one Rumble. So I had this tiny purple one with the wheelbase,
Mm-hmm.
and it had two arms that had these big ass spikes, and
Mm-hmm.
I could just fire those spikes, and they did like hella damage. So while Frozen and a couple of the other guys would like try to like draw the fire away from the other mechs and shit, codes would be like, "Yo, enemies here," and I would go to where enemies weren't to try to find their base. And then once I found it, I would just take Rumble and just pummel the shit out of their base with these spikes, and we won like almost every time. It was so much fun.
That Chrome Hounds is also from software, by the way.
Really?
Yeah. That's why it
Yeah.
was that's why it was so hard.
Okay.
Uh
See, again, like we were going to talk about when we get to Enslaved eventually. This was the time where I never paid attention to devs or
yeah.
anything like that. That came later in life for me.
Well, that's like anything. Movies, whatever. But I feel like that's interesting that you're like a big Armored Core dude and Chrome Hounds, and that's also from software. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Um Sort of backtrack, but I mean, I do want to play the new Armored Core. I do.
it's great. It is a gorgeous game. Um, it does not hold your hand at all because obviously you'll probably be fine with it.
Yeah, I'll be in the day, buddy. I'll be like, hey man, that game was
Yeah, you're
nothing.
like I got further than like a lot of people who played it. One of the first things they make you do is fight against this like big helicopter thing.
Uh-huh.
And a lot of people I remember were like requesting refunds and shit for that first mission. Like, and I was like, okay. So I got through that and I was like, maybe I'll be all right. And I did. I played a good bit of it. I just kind of hit a wall.
Uh-huh.
And it was one of those things where I felt like, in the older armored cores, the way to get past things when you hit a wall was you would go into the lab, so to speak, and build, do a different build
Mm-hmm.
and kind of experiment with parts and things like that. Um, in this one though, like I feel like I basically own everything that I can own up to the point that I'm at because
Mm-hmm.
there's this one mission that I you can replay older missions to get money and stuff. And so I've replayed this one mission a lot, and I bought basically all the parts that are available to me. Um, and in order for me to get new parts, I have to progress past where I'm stuck.
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of banged my head against the wall for a couple of weeks, and then I don't know, something else came out, or maybe a new season of Destiny started, and so I kind of fell off of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely something I want to go back to because I was enjoying it. It's just I don't mind something being difficult if it
Mm-hmm.
gives me, I feel like a way that if I'm willing to
Right.
learn, I'm willing to practice and this and that, that I
Mm-hmm.
can eventually get past it.
Yeah.
But this is just like it's so punishing, the thing that I'm stuck on.
Uh-huh.
And I just, I'm so old. I can't sit here and I can't like not make progress for hours at a time, right? I'm just like I got to move past this, or I'm like, what am I even doing here?
Well, I mean, that's what I felt like with Lies of P, where I felt like even when I got to bosses in areas where I was getting my ass handed to me, I always felt like I could see what I had to do, and
Mhm.
I just had to do that thing and learn how to get to do that thing, and then I could, clinch it. And I feel like it is hard when you get to a point in a game where it just feels like you have no answer to
Yes.
this particular, problem to solve. So yeah, but I do want to play it. I do want to play it because you can put custom paint jobs, and I've seen people do Evangelion ones, and I thought that was pretty
Yep.
cool.
Yep.
Um, so so anyway, Unicorn Overlord,
Yeah.
published by Atlas, developed by Vanillaware. Um, it is a it is a game on modern consoles and PC, but it looks like a PS1 tactics game. And
Okay.
if I don't know how to explain that. Yeah, like visually, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
Like all the characters are on a map, and they're kind of, they look kind of flat, and you run them around, and you go to different
Yeah.
locations. And the difference between this and say like Final Fantasy Tactics or Ogre Tactics or something like that is that you don't get into battles and then you move your units across the field to like strategic points. Basically, you have units which are like groups of like 3, 4, or 5 units that you put out, and you customize those units to have like, a knight or an archer and some other things, and you either put them in the front or the back, and depending on what classes they are and where they're centered on this like grid, once they run into an enemy unit, it's sort of like you don't actually like choose like for them to do certain attacks or anything like that. They just go to battle, and based on their stats and what type of classes they are versus the other type of classes, you can win that battle or lose that battle. And if you lose it, you get pushed back, and you might lose some health. And same happens with the other side. And you want to capture like specific strategic like strongholds on the battle map, and that makes like you can deploy units from those places. And it's all very that. Um, but it's great. It's just like it's a very beautiful looking game. Like they did that thing of like making that retro style look very beautiful. Um,
Yeah.
when they do the like the cutscenes or the when you like meet other characters, it's sort of done in this way where you're just kind of looking at the screen. I guess kind of like what they did with uh Octopath Traveler or whatever it's called. But
Hmm.
they'll be on screen. They have like a very much like an anime look to the characters, and they kind of talk back and forth. Um, and you what you end up doing is you just kind of have to. The story is pretty bland. It's just basically like this evil dude took over the land, and now you have to take it back, and you're the rightful heir, and blah blah blah. And so then you take over the different regions of this world, and gain the help of all these people from these regions to help you kind of take on the final boss. And I am at the very, very, very end of it, ready to do the final battle. I just have to do some more training and unit formations to make like the best just forces to throw out there at the end, because it is pretty
Be all that
tricky.
you can
I
be.
What's that?
Since you can be all that you can be.
I gotta be all I can be, baby. Um, it's I put like 60 hours into it.
Mm.
So it's a good video game. I really really enjoyed. If you like tactical stuff, I know it's getting some like love. And the guy who was like the director of the original Final Fantasy Tactics, he like gave it like a big like you guys should play this game kind of thing if you
Oh,
liked
nice.
tactics. So that's like a good, that was actually what sold me on it. So I was like, okay, like because Tactics is like one of my, if not my favorite Final Fantasy games. So I was like, okay,
Mm,
let me give it a shot. And it's just really good. I mean, it's definitely a different type of JRPG, and but it's a very satisfying, rewarding, you know, you'll have a battle that will last 45 minutes kind of thing.
right.
So yeah, highly recommend that. If you are a fan of the retro tactical games that used to come out on like the PlayStation 1 and some that came out on the PlayStation 2. So, um, yeah, it's a $60 video game with no DLC planned. They just said, "Here's the game. We're good."
Yeah.
And that's it.
Oh,
Which is refreshing in this day and
I was
age.
gonna say, speaking of retro, like,
Hmm? Oh yeah, speaking of retro, like no planned DLC or anything.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
that's like, man,
Yeah,
they're
I mean
going
it's
up there
just,
on the retro thing.
yeah, you just
Like,
pay one price and that's it. There's the video game. You have the video game to play.
yeah,
That's it.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's very nice and refreshing. So yeah, I definitely recommend that, and I think that's all I've been playing. I think I started playing Hotline Miami again. Why not?
Mm,
Um, because I want to play Hotline Miami 2, which I never played, and
yeah,
thought I'd just run through one again. Um, hey, those are good games. Or that first one's
yeah,
good, still a good game. I haven't played the second one yet. Um, but it's definitely like I can only play that for like an hour and a half, and then I'm like, all right, I gotta do something else.
yeah.
Because you like keep dying, and it's just like this like loop you're in, and you're like, all right, all right, all right.
Yep.
Love Devolver though, great studio.
Oh fuck yeah! They're putting out a physical copy of that Hellboy game, and I'm very excited for that.
Wait, what?
The Web of Weird or whatever.
What? Oh yeah, that was like that like comic booky one they did, right?
Yeah, that's like it's like a roguelite or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're putting a physical edition out next month or this month actually now since it's May. But yeah,
With whom? With whom are they doing that with?
I don't know. I just saw that I'm on their like mail list or whatever,
Uh-huh.
and I opened a random email from them like a week or so ago, and they were like, "Don't forget next month, Web of Weird," and I'm like, "What?" So I went to
Yeah.
find somewhere to like pre-order the physical, and I couldn't find it. So
Yeah, I'm looking now on the internets. I found their Twitter page. I'm hitting their link. Uh okay, that just sends me to Steam. That is not helpful. I don't know. I'll have to look into this. Because this is supposed to be good.
yeah, and I was
Um,
waiting for a sale, but also me being me, waiting for an announcement for somebody to do a physical. I assumed it would be somebody like limited run or something, but
right.
when I saw that from Devolver, I was like, "Oh my god!"
Huh. Cool. Well, that's cool. That's good to know. Um, all right. So I guess we'll talk about we'll move on into the main show for tonight. Um, Enslaved: Odyssey to the West, published in 2010 by Namco Bandai and developed by Ninja Theory. So Mitch, when we talked about this one, this was a game you had not played.
Right?
This is a game you were just like, I don't, never played it, heard good things, never touched it.
Well, yeah, I it was one of those things where I was like, I remember when it came out, and I remembered, that people seemed to like it, but also that it didn't sell very well.
Yeah.
Um, and it just looking at like screen, images and trailers and this and that, I wasn't sure it was something I would really like. And then I don't even know how it came back up in my life unless I was just looking because the YouTubers right now are making 360 games pop, uh,
Mm-hmm.
partially because the store is going to close in July, and then when that happens, YouTubers start dropping these hidden gems videos and this and that, and prices automatically start going up because of FOMO and shit like that.
Yeah.
Um, And yeah, for whatever reason, like somebody brought it up or was saying it was a great game, and I was like, huh, I remember that game. And then I read that Alex Garland wrote it, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
holy shit, I have to play this right now. So that's kind of was my impetus for wanting to play it finally.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah,
because
it's
I love me some Alex Garland, man. That dude makes movies that I just really fucking like. So
yeah. The Alex Garland's arc into video game writing development is interesting. I'm not really from what I understand of the things that I read were that he got involved with this game, and then he had an like an overseeing portion of the story of 2013's Devil May Cry that Ninja Theory did, and then he was kind of out, and he more or less was like disillusioned by the whole video game industry. I think for him it was like he could only deal with one industry that was just soul crushing, and I think the
right.
film industry was just where his real money was, and he was just like, I thought this was going to be way more fun, and it's not. So it just that's how it comes off to me as. So Ninja Theory is a very unique game studio for a lot of reasons, and for a lot of reasons they for all for I mean they're a studio that should just not exist anymore or have the same name. Like a lot of studios that have gone through their same similar history are just not around. And they started out super small. They were called Just Add Monsters at first. They put out this game called Kung Fu Chaos, which I did play on the original Xbox, which is really fun. And I played it because it was on an Xbox demo, like Xbox disc demo back when you got those, and that was really fun. Um, and Xbox purportedly didn't really kind of promote it super well, although if I played it on a demo disc, I feel like it was kind of promoted, but I guess it wasn't a lot of ads weren't taken out for it, and it was seen as a financial failure by Tameem Antoniades. I think that's how you say his last name. He's the head of he's the head of Ninja Theory. He's like their version of what's that dude from Remedy? Sam Lake, is that it?
Yes.
Yeah. So basically Tameem is the Sam Lake uh of Kung Fu Chaos of Ninja Theory, I guess. So they didn't make any money off of it. It was a good game. It didn't make any money. You will see this come up over and over again with this studio.
there's a there's
Um
a there's a theme here.
yeah, it's a running theme. Um so after that they came up with the Ninja Theory name for their studio. And they wanted to make a game called Heavenly Sword, or they wanted to make the game that ended up being Heavenly Sword. They wanted it to have this like cross media thing going on where they made a movie, they had like I don't know, like a book or a comic or something. They wanted it to have a sequel, they wanted to have sequels. And essentially when they were shopping it around, nobody wanted it because it just seemed like a huge investment. People who did want it were Sony, and Sony bought all the rights to the game just so that they could publish it. So Tameem had called working with Sony so destroyingly difficult, apparently, or at least that deal was soul destroyingly difficult. um, but it seems like they had to give up a lot of just everything to make that game work, and they were, eventually when we get around to playing it, you'll see I think like the ambition that's in that game, what they really tried to do with it. You'll play that and be like, I've not really played a game like they don't make games like this anymore because it kind of has a lot going on. And they ran into Andy Serkis and got him to do mocap for the king, or the big bad in the game. Um,
Okay.
and it was like it was super weird. It was like they ended up getting like Andy Serkis ended up getting involved because there he was at like a party, or no, somebody was at his house like fixing something, and it turns out that that dude was like related to somebody on Tameem on Ninja Theory, and then Andy Serkis was like, yeah, I'll do video game stuff, and ended up really liking it, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
um so anyways, Heavenly Sword came out, once again critically did pretty okay. Very
Was that a launch
ambitious.
title? Am I remembering that right?
Was that? Sorry.
Was that a launch title for the PS3, or am I remembering that wrong?
It was definitely an early PS3 game. I don't think
Okay.
it was a launch title, but I could be wrong. But it was very
Okay.
early,
Got it.
because they were working on that before the PS3 came out.
Yeah, because
Um,
the only thing I remember about that game, and I had no idea it was a Ninja Theory game, was that it was kind of seen as like a God of War clone,
mhm.
um, and that it made you use the six axis thing, the
Yes.
motion shit.
Yes, and there is a lot of that that is super dominant, and you could tell that that was very much forced in there.
Yeah.
Um, because they didn't want to clearly didn't want to add that. And the other big bummer about this is that, after this game launched, it, like I said, critically did well, lost a huge amount of money because they ended up making like like a animated feature for this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just like a
I
lot
do
of stuff,
remember that.
yeah, they wanted to do with it. And it didn't pan out. And they created like a proprietary engine for this game, just
Oh
for this
wow.
game, and Sony owns that. So when they went on to do Enslaved, they had to use the Unreal Engine,
Okay.
um, because they no longer owned all that hard work that they put into Heavenly Sword. Um, that's the
Wow.
deal. That's the deal, baby. We
That
own you.
sucks.
Oh, it's they had to pay the piper to get to make the game, and it
Yeah.
cost way more for them in the end, unfortunately. But I think it like I said, it all kind of works for them in the end. But it's a rough story. So then they after the failure of Heavenly Sword, they were like, we want to now do a game that's for all the systems because we don't want to work with one. We didn't have really good experience with Sony, and so they had to uh, pitch a title to all the publishers, and they came up with this idea of reimagining of the Chinese folklore story Journey to the West,
Mhm.
um, which is like not really a big comparison to the game. It's essentially about this monk who travels and goes
See,
on
that was
these
yeah.
weird, wacky side quests, basically. Not really like the closest thing to the book to the game is the characters' names. Like there's a monkey, and
Okay.
then there's a guy named Pig as well, and that kind of comes up.
See,
But
I was
um,
going to ask you that. I was hoping you had more like insight into that than I do because I was aware of Journey to the West, but it's not something I've ever read or anything.
right. Well, yeah,
No, obviously I knew this was inspired, but I didn't know how like if it had a lot to actually do with it or if it was just kind of one of those things.
yeah, I think it might have started out maybe a little more specific, but as development goes, it always kind of veers away from what it probably originally was. But
Right.
I think for Tameem, he read Journey of the West on like a trip he was on, and he was like, I got this idea for these traveling characters. And
Yeah.
basically the only thing that, at least from what I remember of that story, and also looked it up again to make sure I was like not misremembering anything, but really
Mm,
just the names. Kind of, he kept the names of
gotcha.
really just two of the characters. So,
Yeah. Well,
um,
not that I expected like Journey to the West to be full of murderous robots, but I was, I didn't know like
well, like instead of demons, it's robots, that kind of thing.
right. That's what I'm saying. Like I didn't know if it was one of those things. So it was kind of the
Yeah,
same thing, but like, more modernized or something, or if it was
yeah,
just
like
like,
the monk fights demons, but I mean, like it's not. They're not trying to like enslave. I don't know. It's kind of I don't know. It's very loosey goosey, is what I'm saying.
yeah, okay, gotcha.
Um, so they use the Unreal Engine, which if you play Enslaved, it's probably the most Unreal Engine looking game of the time. Like it
Yeah,
has all of the trademarks of an Unreal Engine game on a budget with the pop-ins and shading delays and
very muddy backgrounds with the
yeah,
visual.
the bloom effect on
Yeah, yeah,
lighting.
right.
Like
Yes.
it is 100% an Unreal Engine game. But they had to use that to just basically save money, instead of developing a whole new thing.
Yeah,
And they wanted it to be adaptable to all platforms rather than just
right.
one platform. So the inclusion of Alex Garland, I still am unclear of how he more or less got this gig. It's really kind of said everywhere that Ninja Theory hired him, which I don't know. Like, did he
Well,
like Did you have like a LinkedIn posting? Like what?
Right.
Yeah.
So what I read, and I don't know how, I don't know if this is accurate or not, and I couldn't
Uh-huh.
tell you if I read it, was that this initially started, it was supposed to be an animated feature,
Oh.
and then somehow it got transitioned into a video game, which makes no sense if it was, if a studio like Ninja Theory obviously set out to make this game. I don't know where I read that, but that's exactly what I read, and that's why I was interested, like, to play the game, because I was like, holy shit! Like Alex,
Huh.
I don't know if Alex Garland had like written the script and like they saw it, or like I didn't know kind of how it came to be. And it sounds like that might be bullshit, but that's exactly what I read.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, I think there might be some disconnect there because I'm pretty sure that Tameem, they were like, we failed with this theater. They kept moving forward, so they're like, we're gonna make a new game, and we're gonna make it
Yeah,
based around this idea of Journey to the West, whatever.
yeah.
Um, and
We
Andy,
could get Alex Garland on the show. We could just like,
yeah, hey Alex,
we'll just ask him. You know?
I watched interviews with him. He's not. He's really smart, but he's just I don't know. He comes off very strong,
Yeah.
Mr. Garland. He's not he doesn't seem like he's a friendly kind of guy. You just approach.
Get
Um
me on the horn with him.
yeah. Hey, yeah.
Like,
Stop being a little bitch, Garland.
like,
You're nobody.
yeah. I'm on
Um
2 podcasts regularly. All right, bro.
I've got more reach than you'll ever have. I'm on the internet. Loser. Um so So Garland became attached to the project. I mean, it's no secret that Alex Garland loves video games. Even if you watch The Beach, it has a lot of video game like nods. And he's pretty much out there. I read an interview. He loves Dark Souls, BioShock, and The Last of Us, which does not surprise me. At least those last two, because
Right.
very narrative driven. He said that BioShock. He was going on about BioShock, about how like just brilliant the writing is for that game, and I can't disagree
Lord,
with him.
imagine a Bioshock movie he directed.
Oof, yeah, man, that would be pretty good. I mean, I feel like it would work too because BioShock's not a feel good like game, and
Exactly.
he doesn't make feel good movies, so it would be great if he got
Also,
attached to
like,
that. But
you know, every one of his movies, regardless of whether it makes any sense or you like it or not, you cannot like deny that they're just visually stunning, right?
mm-hmm,
Especially Annihilation. And I'm gonna fanboy just a little bit for Annihilation, but my favorite modern artist is Jock,
uh-huh,
and Jock did a lot of concept art for that movie. He
mm-hmm.
designed that fucking bear, and that bear, I literally to this day have nightmares about that fucking bear. So
Lovecraft Bear, man.
yeah, I'm like, oh my god. When I saw that, I was like, holy shit. And then like Jock started like tweeting like a lot of his stuff after the movie finally hit. I was
Uh-huh.
like, of course Jock designed that shit. Man, that guy's fucking, he's amazing, but he's also like a
Lunatic.
sadist. Yeah. Like,
Mm-hmm.
but anyway, sorry.
No, no, you good.
Another
So
tangent.
yeah, well, I think Alex Garland would be good for BioShock. They're apparently making a BioShock thing. As with
Yeah.
any video game adaptation, I'm always going to be a little hesitant because even though it's been working out pretty well recently, but I mean, are they gonna have are they gonna have scenes where they just kill the little sister?
You're right.
Like, can you put that on TV?
Yeah.
So who knows? But they did The Last of Us. Fallout's good. I don't know. Like, it could happen. We'll see.
Yep.
Um. So yeah, Andy Serkis came back for Enslaved to do mocap, sort of like kind of like it feels like he kind of came off like Nick Cage doing it, where they're like, you want to do this again? He's like, oh my god, yeah, let's do. Like, I'm so excited. Let's just um I just love that guy. Anyway, Enslaved came out once again, very well reviewed critically, made no monies.
Right.
And Namco Bandai was like, we'll see you later. Um, After that happened, Capcom reached out and they were like, "Hey, we really love your work, especially Heavenly Sword and Enslaved, which were like their two big ones, obviously. And they were like, we want to see if you can give us a shot at rebooting Devil May Cry, because Devil May Cry's last one was 4. I guess Capcom was like, time to rebrand it, you know,
Mhm.
whatever. We had the Nero Dante thing. I like 4, it's fine. But like, I think
Yeah, I
they,
like 4.
yeah, I like 4. That was like one of the first games I played on PS3, so it was really fun. So Capcom was like, we got to rebrand this. How do you guys want to do it? They do it, and we were talking about this a little bit before the show. Like, I remember picking it up, playing it, enjoying it. I never finished it. Um, but it's a very different Devil May Cry game. You
Mhm.
two sort of like played it, wasn't sort of, the mechanics were sort of different than what you were used to. It kind of just fell off.
Yeah, I bounced off of it because of the having to change between light and dark or whatever it was to do attacks to certain enemies and this and that. And I
Hmm.
was just like, this is way too complicated for Devil May Cry.
I just want to shoot Ebony and Ivory in a demon's face.
Exactly. I want to swing my sword and then knock them up in the sky and then juggle them there with my pistols until they die. Like that's
So
all
like
I'm
an
trying to.
S ranking. That's what I
Yeah,
want.
exactly. I don't give. You know, I have never been that guy in Devil May Cry. Like I love those games, but like I don't know, C is the best I could ever hope for. Like I just play them like they're a beat 'em up. Like I don't get into all the stylish things and all the different shit. I'm just like, no. I just jam on the attack button and have a good time.
Yeah, well, I liked the early ones too, and 4 too, because I think 4 did it as well, where they had like fixed camera angles, so it just felt like a
Yes.
Resident Evil game with.
Yep. Yep.
So I really dig that. This was not that, because they went to like a third person thing. I remember something about like an evil television network at the beginning or something. I don't know.
Is this the one
Uh,
with the pizza
no,
at
that's
the start?
3. That's 3. It's so
Okay. I was trying to remember because I certainly remember that,
Yeah,
but
Devil May
whichever
Cry
one
3.
it is.
Well, there could be pizza in this one, but I remember in Devil May Cry 3 that was like the big thing in the beginning, and then like he
Yeah.
like rides away on his motorcycle or something.
Right.
Um, good that was, yeah, he like hits a. I think in 3 he like throws his motorcycle at like a demon, and man, yeah, those
Yeah.
games were this is something else.
Oh shit, man! In 5, you use your motorcycle as a weapon, then you can fucking ride around it like the Silver Surfer and shit.
See, that's right.
That's nuts,
It's back. This is how this country's supposed to be. Um,
right?
so they did 2013's Devil May Cry, aka DMC, received death threats in the mail from fans of Devil May Cry series because of what
Mhm.
they did to Dante as a character. And they made him a bit of an emo boy, you know.
Yeah,
Um
black hair.
and yeah, just, looking real moody and cool. People didn't like that. And
The Jared Leto Dante, if you will, if they were gonna
it
make a
was the
movie.
it was the Morbius, it was the Morbius Leto. It was the Joker
Yeah.
Leto of Dante's. Um, so yeah, so we're actually planning on playing that next, because I think it deserves a playthrough, because I think we're just doing all this Ninja Theory stuff, because that leads us to the next part of this whole. We're getting through the history of Ninja Theory. After they did that, that also did financially very poorly, but critically well received. And then after that, they were in limbo. Alex Garland, who had kind of did some overseeing on DMC for the story stuff, had stepped away from video games, and they were just like, "Well, we don't know what to do." So they ended up getting, and maybe I'll talk more about the Hellblade development part of the history when we play Hellblade 2, but they got a sweet deal with Microsoft, and Microsoft said, "Hey, you have full creative control over your product. Make whatever it is that you want to make. We won't intervene." And I guess, that was part of their deal because of the poor, thing they did with Heavenly Sword. They probably were scared that Microsoft would be like, we own everything now. Um, and so they made Hellblade 1, which was not only critically reviewed, but their most played, I guess, game. Like that did really well. It really kind of was an artsy fartsy game that also somehow got a wide audience, and it did well for the Xbox. It was a great title for the Xbox, so much so that they greenlit a second one, which is coming out, and that's been in development for 8 million years. And also, what is interesting about Hellblade is that they had, I believe, 15 people only worked on it. because they cut
Yeah,
back their studio
I remember
side. So
that.
yeah, 15 people worked on it. They did some really great work on that. It feels like there's probably only 15 on Hellblade 2 with as long as it's taken to make the second game.
Yeah, yeah.
But very excited to play the second one. Looks great. Hope the combat's better though. But
You know, I didn't mind it. Like, man, I played it on PS4, the first one. I own it physically on the Xbox. I honestly, I want to go back and play it again.
mhm.
Um, but you want to talk about like atmosphere. I mean,
Oh yeah.
the combat didn't really bother me so much, but just man, that game is just oozing with atmosphere. Like when you play a game, you might remember you played the game or this and that, but like when a game has a section or whatever that like is seared into your brain forever, like that's amazing to me. It's the same thing
Mhm.
with like movies. I'm so desensitized to everything now. If something sticks with me, I will always champion that thing.
Mhm.
But that level in the first Hellblade, where you're in the basement or whatever that place with the beast,
Mhm.
when you're in the darkness or whatever, and you can hear it, and you're
Mhm.
supposed to stay in the light or the beast gets you.
Mhm.
Dude, I was scared shitless, and that's fucking amazing to me. Like that, the game made me feel that way.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
could I could give almost every other like critique just based on that one kind of, and it's a game that's full of amazing moments. But that portion of that game where I was like, what's the beast? And holy shit, it sounds scary. And like I'm trying to navigate this maze, right? Trying to stay in light,
Yeah.
scared from the fucking life. That's amazing. Like that is amazing like video game to me.
Yeah, and you really want Homegirl to make it. Cuz like
Mm-hmm. Because
there's
you
something.
just know, man, this is not going to have a happy ending. You just
Yeah.
know. Like, good lord.
And you don't get a lot of like there's some story stuff that's revealed like through the stones that you like that they
Yeah,
put in there for like, just like video game stuff. You get some like lore of like Nordic lore or whatever. But like
right,
we don't really get to see much of the main characters like I don't know, you don't see like her backstory or anything like that. So like
right.
everything's kind of transmitted to you through like showing, not telling, and they do a really good job of that. And you
Yeah.
really like want her to survive because you're like, I'm just as scared as you are, lady. Like we gotta get out of here. um
You're right.
so yeah, it's a really remarkable achievement. Uh and I don't see how Hellblade 2 could be bad. But I just hope that it does
Oh,
what
I
they
don't think it will be at all. I think
yeah,
it's going
I
to be
want it to
amazing.
do. Well,
It's
I
probably going to end up being like,
no, go ahead, sorry.
I think, I was going to say, I am pretty confident that outside of like the final shape, um, it's probably going to be my favorite thing of this year, the favorite game of the year. I really feel like it because I'm
Yeah.
so hyped for it. Like, because
Mhm.
the first one was so good. Like, so full disclosure, if anybody that I work with who's in like administration or anything hears this,
No,
sorry
you
guys,
didn't.
but so when I was in IT at the hospital, me and Chris used to like sneak our PS4s into work and play Destiny all day,
My man.
and then obviously D2 as well. But I used to go into work like 2 hours early just to play Hellblade before I had to clock in and then start playing Destiny.
Oh
Like
my
I was
god.
so into that game. Yeah.
Um,
That's and few games have I ever done that for. I did that for the first Bioshock. I used to get up 3 hours early for work just to play Bioshock, and then I don't know if I did that again until I played Hellblade. But that's
mm.
how like into that game I was.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's gonna be a bad game. I just hope it does. Like, I hope it's just not like critically reviewed well, and then like nobody plays it, kind of thing. But
Well, the issue is going to be that it's on Xbox,
yeah,
and right now Xbox is like the poster child for beating up on everything, right?
yeah, it's the punching bag for sure. Plus, they didn't do a physical release, which is also not great. Um,
Yeah, that sucks. I mean, obviously, thankfully for Game Pass, I'll get to play it digitally, but I won't buy it until they do a physical. So same thing with Alan Wake 2, which I haven't been able to play, and I hate that because I want to play it, but
Yeah,
I'm not gonna play it
I feel like
until I can buy it.
one of those companies are gonna be like give Remedy some love and put out a physical edition because I mean,
They said they're not going to, but I really hope somebody like is like, yo, we'll pay you, and they're like, okay.
uh-huh. Well, that's what I mean. Like somebody will step
Yeah.
in and do like a special super edition, or they do like what I did a couple of months ago was buy that Baldur's Gate 3 physical edition that's going to be like 4 Xbox discs that's coming at the end of May.
Binky did that too. He talked about it. And he was like, well, like, they keep saying it's coming out between now and then. It's who knows when he'll get it. But yeah, he is like dying to play because he loves Baldur's Gate. He's
Uh,
dying to play it, but he waited for the physical. So, and he's not even like a physical guy. Like, I don't know why he's like he did just buy it digitally,
it
but he
comes in a
didn't.
lot of it's got a lot of cool knickknacks it comes with, and it's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a map, got a whole ass map. So that's what we
Yeah,
like. Um,
man, I love me a game that comes with a whole ass map though. I ain't gonna lie,
yeah, I miss
that's
that
just a cool
stuff.
thing.
Yeah, I dug
Yeah,
out my old PS3 games from storage and opened up like Skyrim and my map was still in there. I was like,
nice.
oh man, what a like are they gonna have a map with the new Elder Scrolls? Probably not. Like,
No,
like I'll be 45 when it comes out and they probably won't have, you know, it'll just be like a code in a box
there.
that I'll get when I order.
Well, no, there. Yeah, there will be a code. There will be a statue, an art book, some postcards, like, but
Yep.
no map, nothing you
No
can
map.
actually use. Yeah.
Yeah. That's is a bummer. Is a bummer. Um anyway, so Enslaved starts with a character whose name is Monkey, played by Andy Serkis, mocapped by Andy Serkis, voiced by Andy Serkis, is on his prison ship. He awakes. The ship is like gonna crash, and he's making his way chasing this woman um through the ship and trying to catch her because the escape pods are taken off and he needs to get to one and she's getting to one and you kind of learn the basics there. And you're climbing on this ship and you're like, okay, this is like a spaceship that's crash landing on a planet. Like, what's gonna happen? And then you're outside the ship and it does the really fun thing of being like the Empire, like the Statue of Liberty flies by and you're like, oh my god, they're crashing on Earth. I just think that's really clever because the setup is like
Yeah.
you're like you don't really know where you are. Like you're like, oh, I guess there's like space travel or something. So you're like, you guess it's like Star Wars. They could be crashing on like Tatooine or something. But they're
Right.
like, they just cut to like the Statue of Liberty that's like covered in like it's like Planet of the Apes, or it's like,
Yes.
yeah, and
Right.
you're just like, oh right, we're crashing on Earth. Um,
You bastards! Look what
yeah,
you've done.
exactly.
Hey,
So
this game needs more C. Henson.
you crash with the lady who enslaves you with this like head gear, and you have to listen to her or she'll like zap you. Um and uh the game itself is like sort of like a light puzzle game, Ico or eco inspired type game where there's two protagonists and the other one needs the other one to get past certain obstacles, and sometimes you have to protect the one because they are helpless. But the helpless one can use distractions to help you get by enemies or uh, like turret sections and things like that. Um, and it's a lot of like, as was the style of the time, just kind of like crawling up things, jumping around, uh, moving through the environments. Uh, sorry, and the girl's name is Trip, and she's
Yep.
on the mission to like find her father because her father is here at this settlement. So she wants to go there. Once she gets there, she's like, "Listen, I'll let you go." Blah blah blah. So you fight these robots that have taken over, Earth, and there's been some sort of robot fallout going on. Um, and that's like, you get to the settlement eventually. You find out things are not what they seem, and then you have to continue on from there. Um, and that's like more or less the gameplay. Uh,
Yeah.
what you would you say, or would you agree with me? Like the gameplay itself is very like clunky, and like it's
Yes.
sort of janky a little bit, and like not very polished.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. There was a lot of so I don't know the last time I played a game where I audibly said "jump, bitch," or or like or like "move, motherfucker." Like, I was like, "Oh my god!" I'm pressing the button and dude's just not doing shit, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in the meantime, Trips over here like, "Monkey, you just have to do this." And I'm like, "Bitch, I'm trying." Like you know, like, he won't do it. Like
And like that is like alone or enough to be like, all right, like this game's just janky. I'm not into it. But there's like something compelling about the dynamic between Trip and Monkey that like kind of keeps you there. I would say like they're like the scenes between them are
mm,
very genuine and natural, and it
except
feels
for that
like
one.
what's that?
Except for that one.
What which one?
Right before the last mission
Oh yeah.
where
Wait, which one are you talking
where like where like she takes off the crown and he's like,
about?
"Put it back
Oh.
on."
Listen, man, he wants a Dami
Like,
mommy. What do you what do
I
you
laughed so hard at that.
uh
Supposed to be like touching moment or some shit like that, but like
listen, Monkey's just not good
it
with
was
his
just
feelings, okay? He doesn't know how
it
to
was so
say thank
awkward.
he doesn't know how to say I love you without saying put it back on. Um and he just listen. I mean, if Tri- listen, I'm not saying I wouldn't say anything differently than Monkey if Trip did that to me. That's all I'm saying. So you kind of go on this adventure with them, like traversing this horrorscape of a destroyed Earth, you know. And I think if you look at all of Alex Garland's work, I don't know how much he contributed to the setting, but a lot of his stories have to do with the
Right.
Earth ending. So it makes a lot of sense that
Yes.
he's part of this. um,
Yes. Absolutely.
it has like this really, I don't we didn't talk about it on here, but I saw Civil War, but like it has this very nihilistic look at the eventuality of our society or our cult or our our civilization, basically. Like what's all of his movies, his screenplays have all pointed to the fact that not much is going to be left over, and like
Right.
a few people might survive to start anew, but really it's not going to be the same. And
Right.
that really comes through here. um
Mm-hmm.
Apparently on the writing side, Alex did not want boss fights in the game, and that was like a big contentious thing
Yeah.
uh in the game. And I would say
I get
boss
it.
fights are pretty weak. I mean, there's like one boss you fight like
Yeah.
3 different times.
Right. Exactly.
The
Yeah.
dog
Yeah.
one.
Yes. Yeah.
So like I get it, and I think they felt like they needed to put boss fights in there to like make it video gamey. Um
I would agree. Although, like, because like obviously, if you're coming from the point of view of someone who's a screenwriter, you know, is in the movie business, he wants it to be this cinematic kind of experience, interactive cinematic experience, right?
mhm.
And I think boss fights make it too video gaming, like you said. Um, but at the same time, even without those, this is video gamey as fuck.
Oh
So
yeah. Oh
it's
yeah.
like it's like, are the bosses really the issue? Like, not really. So,
You gotta jump on the highlighted things to go up.
mm,
It's just like, Uncharted,
oh
but
my
not as
god,
smooth.
right? And then like it's funny, like it's so video gamey that like as soon as you start picking up these fucking glowy orb things,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like I don't know. an hour and a half, 2 hours in before they actually mean anything to you. But I've played so many video games, I knew I needed them, so I like was trying to get as many of them as I could.
Yeah, man, that's how
But
you
she
do it.
doesn't even like offer you like like Trip never even offers you like even gives you the notion that she's gonna let you upgrade anything until like 2 hours in or so.
Right, yeah. So you're just like doing this like weird fetching stuff, and you're like, "What do I even need this for yet?" But
Yeah.
I know I'm gonna
I
need
was
it.
like,
I
well, this is
played.
a video game. I need those. Yeah, right.
It seems like, and like I feel this is like Ninja Theory's thing, and I'll be interested to see how this comes about with DMC. But they're really big on like story and narrative, and they really want to,
Yes.
say something very cinematic. And like I feel like they get caught up in the video game part of it, and I haven't really kind of perfected it until Hellblade, where they were able to blend those two very like as seamlessly
Yes.
as they can. Where I feel like Hellblade is the least video gamey game that they've made. Um,
Yeah,
even though,
outside of like having to like line up symbols and shit like that
yeah,
to like
yeah,
open door.
yeah, like there's stuff like that in it, but it's definitely like more of like I think they just want to make walking sims, and I think that
Yeah.
they don't know how to make those or like market those. They
Yeah,
want to.
they're like I feel like those don't traditionally do very well, and that whole thing with Hellblade was they wanted to make a AAA game for like a AA price or whatever. So I think it was like
Mhm.
$30 when it first dropped or something like that. And I remember
Mhm.
that being like their thing. They were like, we want to make AAA games for like a budget price or something.
Mhm.
So while you would think, that would lend itself to a walking sim, right?
Mhm.
Because What Remains of Edith Finch is one of the greatest fucking games I've ever played,
Mhm.
and it's just a walking sim, right?
Mhm.
It was probably $30 when it came out. I don't know. I bought it on sale. Not even real, or maybe it was even like a PS Plus or something thing where I knew nothing about it other than I thought the art style was neat,
Mhm.
and that game blew me away. And I could see like based on Hellblade and the other like if that's something Ninja Theory wanted to do, I would hope by this point, they would have enough clout so that they I feel like they could make a hell of a walking sim.
Mhm.
But I just everything they do is met with critical acclaim and commercially is sort of a flop. So I feel like maybe they're afraid to really go all in on something like that. But if they ever did, I think it would be amazing.
Yeah. And I mean, yes, absolutely. It is. I mean, like I said earlier, they followed a like blueprint of a failed game development studio. They should not be around anymore. Like a lot of the similar
Right,
stories, like those people are all gone, or they were bought by Activision, and now they make Call of Duty games or something
right,
like Raven
yes,
Software.
right,
um
right.
so where was I going? We're talking about story. I think with Enslaved, I think it presents you this very, I would even go as far as to say pretty mediocre gameplay, but you are compelled to keep playing it because the story is, there's something there that's intriguing, and the dynamic between Monkey and Trip is so like human, like it's so believable, like it's so natural between them
Yes,
that you kind of want
yeah,
to see how that progresses, where that goes.
absolutely.
Is it a romantic interest, is it not? you know will Monkey die, will Trip die? What are they going to find at the end of all of this? um and I think that's what keeps you going, and I think that's the special part of the game. I think the game itself is not so special. um like uh the post-apocalyptic thing has been done a gajillion times. Like, it's
Yeah.
really the characters, and even like Pigsy is interesting in his own right. And I think
Oof.
that that dude, just like, you can smell him through the TV.
Yeah, I was not a big fan of that. That
Yeah.
that that because it was so like it was such a jarring transition from what had been, for the most part, a pretty serious experience, and just the silliness that got added with him. I was just like, whoa, like this kind of came out of nowhere. And even monkeys dropping like little like quips and like little like jokes and jabs at him and stuff, and like
Yeah,
Pigsy saying like weird shit about this is the stuff that wet dreams are made out of. And she's like, wait, what now? And he's like, this is the stuff that dreams are made out of. And then Monkey's like, that's not what you said. And shit
yeah.
like that. And then like they're racing each other and shit. I'm like, bro, this was so serious until we found this guy. And like they did like those like close ups where he's like, Pigsy, where'd you get that name? And they close in on like his pig ear and his snout and his man boob. And I'm like, what is happening right now? This is so not what this game has been.
So
Like,
yeah, he's like the droids in Star Wars. Like as soon as the droids are on
mm,
and they're doing their funny part, you know, and they're making the funny
yeah,
points, and then all of a sudden like Darth Vader shows up and it gets serious again. But tonally,
right.
yeah, kind of
Plus,
kind of
like,
what? Sorry.
I was gonna say, if you kind of saw what happens to Pigsy coming from a mile away if you've ever like watched a movie or played a video game before. But at the same time, this game goes the extra mile and completely spoils it based on like the name of some of the achievements. Like,
Oh,
if
really? I
you're
didn't even
looking,
look at that.
yes,
Oh
yeah,
no. Oh
yeah, the
no.
achievement for finishing that the level where we find out what happens to Pigsy is literally
Uh,
like named something that completely gives it away.
um. Yeah. Yeah. Um.
I, he just was not my favorite. I thought he was
That
kind of goofy and I don't know.
that's absolutely
At that
fair.
point, I was invested, so obviously I was going to finish it. But he just he just didn't seem to fit in the because like there was that whole thing where he kept wanting to hit on Trip and like she was like, we got to find my dad's friend because he knows all these things and he'll be able to help us. And then you get there and he's just like this fat, gross, sweaty, like pig themed guy who seems to just want to like
Bro's about to get
holler at
canceled.
Trip.
Yeah.
And I'm just, that's weird. That's so weird.
Yeah. Um. No, for sure. He definitely creates like a real tonal shift in the game, and then he's gone. And I think
Yeah.
uh so in the game you are running around and there's these collectibles that are like these masks that you can find. They're like these
Mm-hmm.
staticky white masks that you can find, and if you run over them, you get like a bunch of like photos, like realistic taken in our world photos of different places with Andy Serkis like in these
And other people who I
and other
assume
people,
exist.
but Andy Serkis is in them, and it's weird because it's like
It's so weird.
I know he's voicing Monkey, yet here's it's
Which
like it's a
I
little
did,
breaking.
yeah, I didn't know that until you said it. Like I thought he just did the mocap because I would have sworn on a Bible that it was John DiMaggio.
No, 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 no,
He Monkey sounds so much like Marcus Phoenix. I was like, did everybody have to sound like this? Is this what we're doing like these days, guys?
no,
I would have
man.
sworn it was him.
Nope, nope. You got yourself, good old Andy Serkis.
He is doing his best Marcus Phoenix, okay? Like if, if DiMaggio is not available for like year 6 or whatever, we already know who to get. Like
uh,
he
yeah,
sounds
no,
just like Marcus Phoenix.
yeah. He mocapped and he voiced it, and so did for Trip. It was Lindsay Shaw, who's also video game lady and
Okay.
voice actor. Um, but yeah, that's that. When Andy Serkis does his like American accents, he always does like it's like when what's his face, Chartel Copley does like his American accents, and you're like, what is that?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like that. But yeah, that was him, man. That was him the whole time. And then yeah, so then you find pictures, you find like these collectibles, and you like see all these like photos like thrown at you real fast of like these like different locations, and you see Andy Serkis in these photos, and it's just really weird. And you're like, what does this have to do with anything?
Right.
So like the main the the thing about this game that makes it so special, which I think are the characters and sort of like their dynamic throughout the game. And the game is whatever.
Yeah.
It's fun and not long, which is good. If it was any
Right.
longer, it might be a little hard of a sell. Um, but is the ending, which we're gonna spoil and talk about. So just don't listen to this part. Just skip this. Just stop. Just go home. Just play it. Just go play it. Go play it and come back.
Yeah.
So at the end of the game, you sort of have this kind of do or die fight against big robot, several robots at the end. You're walking this big like robot mech thing in the wasteland,
Oh, which
and
they annoyingly continue to refer to as Leviathan.
no, yeah, the
I'm
Leviathan.
like, why do they keep saying it that way? Like, like, just say Leviathan. Like, why is that so hard?
You're walking this thing through the desert, and you're headed towards this like pyramid, and
Mm,
the last chapter is essentially you're just fighting off these robots that are attacking you, and you got to do all this video gaming stuff where you like shoot off the weak points and blah blah blah.
it looks like they look like a Scorponok from the first Bayformers movie. Like,
Yes, this is a pretty actually accurate description of what they are. And like when you beat the last one, it's just like, well, that's one of them, and then there's just like I don't know, like a bunch more out there, and you're like, man, we're not gonna
yeah,
make
he's
it,
like,
are we?
there's five more.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyways, you end up I forget how it works, but you get safely to the pyramid. You make it. And because Pigsy sacrifices himself, and then
right, yeah, yeah. Monkey grabs Trip and they jump off,
right.
and then yeah, and then the Scorponok's take Pigsy out on the Leviathan.
And R.I.P. Pigsy. And then you and
Mhm.
Trip go into the pyramid, and it's one of the most weirdest endings to a video game.
Yep.
I I think just at all. It just and well, okay, so you get into the pyramid, and there's all of these like people with these masks on, and they're just like in the pyramid, and this is basically what I assume is like the end of like the last of humanity, essentially. They're
Yeah.
all wearing these masks, and they're all just kind of standing around in this pyramid, all lined up very neatly. And sort of at the back of the pyramid, there's this dude wearing a mask, and he's like banging around on this like keyboard and stuff. He's got all these like wires and stuff in him, and turns out it's the dude. It's Andy Serkis. It's the dude you saw the photos of, and he
It's
basic
literally Andy Circus.
literally just Andy Serkis, and he has his brain like hooked up, and basically like all of his memories and his experiences of life, he's kind of synthesized into experiences for all these other people, so that they're like living lives of like they don't know they're the Matrix, they're doing the Matrix thing, they're living these
Yes,
lives.
100%. Yeah,
And he basically makes this argument saying like, is it is it better that I control all these people and give them these lives? And he makes Monkey wear the mask, and Monkey sees like
yeah.
himself in this alternate life, and it's like really wonderful. And also too, like Homeboy takes off his mask, and it's just like the nastiest old dying man face.
Yeah, yeah.
And he puts and to me, when he put on the mask, like that's gotta smell so gross.
Oh dear God, yeah, yeah,
And like Monkey has a moment where you think that he's gonna be like, you know what? I think we're wrong. Like I think we should just leave it,
yeah.
you know?
He's gonna take the
And
red pill or whatever.
yeah, red pill it,
Yeah,
and you can see why. And like then Trip just like rips all the wires out of this old dude.
yeah. She's like, "Fuck this." She just starts going ham on this guy. Like,
And just like murks him right there, like just rips all
yeah,
his wires out, and like all the people wake up in the pyramid, and it just like cuts to black, and
yeah,
that's it.
yeah.
Now
And then,
they
like,
had planned to do like sequels, but of course it didn't make any money. No sequels were made,
right.
and they still I forget in one of the interviews I have linked, and maybe we'll get to it. They had talked about like what it could be, what it would be, um, and just didn't happen. But it's such a wild ending because it is so incredibly jarring and unique.
It's
and
abrupt to say the least. Yeah.
abrupt, and like they pull it off and it makes sense in within the world, and it's like completely worth playing through like 7 to 8 hours of an okay game to get to this point because it is such a
Yeah.
wild ass ending. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean for you it was your first time having that ending, so I'm kind of curious what you think.
Well, yeah. So I finished it. Like I said, I was making great progress until the light happened. And then I kind of got, and we were supposed to do this on, this is Thursday. We were supposed to do it last Saturday. And so I finished it Saturday morning at like 4:30. Like I got, because I get up super early. And so I got up and I was like, I only had the last mission to do. And so I'm sitting here like I was fresh off of, like, I had an amazing night of Destiny Friday night, doing some stuff with Brandon and our friend Sean. And I was like, man, that was so fun. And then I got frustrated with Fallout. And then I got up Saturday morning to finish Enslaved, and I was just like, I'm just sitting here. I just sat here in silence. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, but then like again, just as with other things that I spoke about earlier, man, to have an experience and to have something that like that elicits some kind of response for me and that I've been thinking about ever since. This is exactly what this game did. I was like, that was so fucking weird. I can't stop thinking about it. I'm just like, what the shit was what was the thought process for that being the end? Like what how did who pitched this game in the boardroom and was like, and this is how it ends?
That's out. I
And they
think
were
that
like, yes.
I'm pretty sure that's just Alex Garland through and through at the end. Like that feels
Yeah.
so
Oh,
heavy-handed.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
so heavy-handed by him. And like it's
Yeah.
so unique and out there and kind of messes with it with a lot
Mm,
of his I mean it messes with a lot of his other themes. I mean it kind of reminded me of the beach, I guess, or something. Like just
yeah.
this like whole, this other reality type thing, the Matrix, whatever. Um yeah, man, like it's also like it's a hard game to be like you need to play through this just okay game to get to this wacky ass ending. And I don't think it was an easy sell for that because a lot of the reviews at the time were like the ending is just incredible. Like you got to play it for the ending and you can't talk about the ending. So, cuz then you'll just ruin the game for yourself. So, like we just did for everyone
Right.
listening. So there you go. Pick up Enslaved, Xbox 360, backwards compatible on your Series X.
Yeah. I think it's so I went to find a physical copy at the one game store that I have that sells retro, and I'm using finger quotes there, video games. Now they have the PS3 version, so I bought that. But then it was on the Xbox store for I think $12, and I more than got my $12 worth out of it.
Yeah, man.
So it's definitely worth playing.
Yeah, definitely worth if you can pick it up, definitely worth visiting. I think, for Ninja Theory, it's one of those things that's just like, man, they're just on some other weird development plane of making video games, and it's
Yeah.
just, I'm it's pretty remarkable, they tried to make a pretty I think they had like this really great character dynamic, and they were like, we need to make a pretty general game for a general audience that could be put on all consoles, and but they were like, but at the end we're really gonna get them. And
Yeah. But we still want to make the game like our kind of game, right?
yeah, so like I mean feels like their attempt to make a broad appeal game, and they couldn't stop
Yeah.
themselves from, and I feel like maybe that's why a lot of the game feels pretty so um and I think, but they still had to do their thing at the end, and I feel like it works for them. Didn't work for them,
I agree.
obviously.
And I
So
also I kind of wonder if because I feel like I mean this has always been a thing, but I feel like it was really a thing at this point where like lots of people played lots of games, but not many people finished a lot of games.
sure.
And so they were like, well, we only have to like make it video gamey, to a certain extent, and then we can do whatever the fuck we want because nobody's going to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Or we will, reward the people. I guess reward may not be the right word, but like we can do whatever we want towards the end, and the people that get it are going to get it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So there's I'll post this in the Substack post, but there's a making of YouTube video that's pretty good. I enjoyed it. I like
I will
all
be
everybody
watching
on
that
the
when we're
team.
done.
What's that?
I'm going to watch that as soon as we're done. Actually,
Yeah, it's really it's not too long, and it's great to see. I like Tameem. He seems like a very intelligent, interesting dude who really just likes video games, and
yeah,
I have just a lot of respect for them. And just seeing them trying to kind of like talk about the game and its development is pretty cool.
right.
I will post some interviews with both Andy Serkis and Tameem about the game. But one of the quotes I pulled for Andy Serkis, I thought was pretty good. So the interviewer on The Guardian asked him, "Were you pleased with what were you most pleased with about Enslaved looking back on it?" He said the way we worked hard to ensure that the cutscenes and gameplay flow and are seamless so that dramatic tension is kept up throughout the game. Alex Garland wrote the screenplay for Enslaved, and he did a great job. There is a huge transmigration from the film industry to video games, not just because people personally like the idea of making a video game, but because they recognize that with the advent of 3D, it's an incredible arena for storytelling. And also, apparently, Andy Serkis got into video games because his kids were into it. And he then saw, like, he didn't really care about video games. And then he saw his kids playing it. And he's like, oh, this is actually, like, there's a lot of room for kind of like really great storytelling. And he became like a big game dude just because of working with Ninja Theory and, um, seeing his kids play it. So I thought that was a really great story
Yeah,
for Andy
that's
Serkis.
awesome.
Andy Serkis seems like a totally cool dude.
Yeah,
Um, and the I pulled another review, and this is actually I thought this was a cool uh, pull quote about Heavenly Sword, which I wish they were able to make this game. But with VG2247, they asked Tameem. They said Heavenly Sword was apparently planned to be a trilogy. What was the plot going to be for the next games? And Tameem says, I had this idea that you would play as Nariko, who finds herself trapped in hell by the spirit of the sword. Kai would be playable in the real world and would communicate with Nariko and try to help her rescue her soul. One day in hell for Nariko would equate to 1 year on Earth for Kai, and so the story would swap between them, and you get to play Kai from teenage girl to old woman. That was one idea anyway, which I think is like I don't know that's just a really great concept. I thought that um, just guys are just bubbling with ideas, like they got things in there that they just want to tell and say, and I think I just applaud them. They're just trying, Mitch. They're just trying to be interesting. And that's all I can ask for in 2024 that we're in now. Um so yeah. Uh I think that's it. What do you think, Mitch?
yeah. It sucks that some devs seem to be able to get away with that, and for some devs, it seems like it blows up in their face constantly. But I certainly applaud them for trying to do different things and having original ideas. And they're always going to get my money. So
Yeah, we're super excited for Hellblade 2. I'm
yeah,
excited to play like and finish DMC 2013's
yeah.
DMC.
I just bought it. I just bought
Oh,
it on my Xbox. So,
$8.99 for the definitive edition.
sure.
High
We
frame rate.
forego my physical copy just so I can play the definitive version.
Yeah, you can't get a physical copy of the definitive version, I don't think. I could be wrong. I don't think they have
Right.
this like high frame rate version available to buy,
Right.
from my understand.
I have the original, but it's only going to be whatever that was. So I was like, $9.
Yeah,
Maybe if it kicks them a couple of dollars, I'm happy to do that.
well, I am interesting. It will be interesting to see what they did with a property like this, like, and
Mm-hmm.
look at it through. Because at the time, I wasn't looking at it through the lens of like Ninja Theory made this. I was really looking at it through the lens of Capcom's trying something very new. um,
Exactly. Like I
and
said, I would have had no idea that a different developer. I was like, oh, new Devil May Cry, I'm in, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like,
like also not like a Western developer either, like our
right, right,
publisher. Sorry, um, they got hired to do a Japanese, normally a game that's developed by Japanese development studios. So
Right.
I'm curious to kind of see how they influenced this game,
Yep.
and give it a shot again, and hopefully beat it. I don't know how hard it is. We'll
Yeah.
see.
I don't either. I'll be playing it on easy if
Yeah.
that's an option.
um. Anyways, Enslaved, get it now. Hot game of 2010. Play it on your video game system.
Listen, if YouTube has anything to say about it, it's gonna go from like a $20 game to like a $60 game.
Yeah, next week it will be delisted. Dark Void just got delisted, by the way,
It's
digitally.
us, so get it now.
You know what's super crazy is that Dark Void is on sale for the Golden Week sale because it's a Capcom game actually.
Mhm.
But Capcom pulled the game while the sale is going on. So if you go and select Dark Void right now on the sale on Xbox, it just like you can't do anything because
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
So somebody is just big
That
old mad.
that was
Uh,
dead ass maybe a $5 game
yeah.
for like I don't know, a couple of months after it was out until literally now.
Yep. And it was on sale, and in the middle of the sale it was delisted, and now you can't get it. And it's funny because they didn't pull the I guess they just didn't pull the code from the sale store or whatever. But anyway, yeah, can't get Dark Void right now. Um Mitch, thank you. Divided by Werewolves.
Yeah, man.
Uh
Still doing it. We're
catch him
closing in on 200 episodes.
catch him on Destiny 2.
Oh hell yeah. I'll be on Destiny 2 like forever. But yeah.
I just ordered a hamburger to be delivered because I haven't eaten dinner yet. So,
I haven't eaten either. I'm gonna make a pizza when we're done. I
ooh.
Yeah, it's that whole thing. Like I get off work at like 4:30 to 5, and I was like, oh, I got the show at 6, so
So we're both hungry. Cool.
I'm
We got it.
starving and I need a shower. I'm in desperate need of a shower.
Oh
So
boy, let me get you. Get your ass on that. Mitch, thank you again.
yeah, man,
Appreciate you, and excited to talk Devil May Cry.
same.
Word.